Hey, what's going on, Ramley? Welcome back to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports, and this is your daily Rams content feed. Joining me, as always, Skinny T. We got a guest on today. Finally, I went on a guest on in forever, so we'll tease that. But Skinny, first and foremost, how are you doing?
I feel like I'm looking old all of a sudden. I think about a facelift or something.
No, not necessary. You look great. I don't know if I look old or not, but I certainly feel old. Have not been sleeping good. We need to get like a Tempur-Pedic ad or something. I need like a new mattress. We'll see if we can hook that up because I have not been sleeping well, and I'm very grumpy when I don't sleep well, and I kills my days. So I'm feeling very old to your look, I guess.
Well, to quote the late great Doc Holliday, I'm in my prime.
Okay, yeah. Well, if this is my prime, I don't know what the past was, but anyway, great guest today. First in Tuna. He's got a Rams podcast on YouTube. He's on social media. Skinny T met him out at training camp. Great guy here local in Los Angeles, kind of just getting started in the Rams content business. So obviously any way we can help him grow. And, he's a great guy and good. So we get him on and talk all things Rams, Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, Stetson Bennett, offensive line. We do it all. So let's, without anything else to say, Skinny, unless you have something to add before we just get into it.
Let's hop into it.
All right. So, Ramley, thanks so much for hanging out. This is the Rams Skinny interview with our good friend, Verse and Tuna. Hey, what's going on, Ramley? As we mentioned in the intro, have a very special guest today. Excited that I get to officially meet him here on the show. Skinny T had the privilege of meeting him over at training camp in person. So great to see your face. You got a much more professional background than either of us do. You joked we're the professionals. I don't think so, based on that background, based on my bedroom set behind me. But great to have on the show talking all things Rams after a preseason game against the Chargers, heading into the final 2 weeks. Stafford's back at practice. We got tons of stuff to talk about. We got our friend Tuna on the show, hosts Verse and Tuna on the channel, on Twitter. You can find him real easily. But my man, how you doing? Thanks so much for taking the time to join us.
Hey, don't be nice to my friend Ryan and Ryan here with your professionalism. You guys are great. I don't know about the background. I got some nerdy video game posters in the back, so I'll take the compliments though. I'm great. I'm happy to be here and talk a little bit of Rams football with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Skinny, I know we talked in the intro, but how are you doing? As always, looking good as always.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, doing fantastic. Just excited to talk more football.
Always. Never a bad time to talk football. Got the daughter dropped off at school. The house is empty, so I'm ripping and ready to go. But Tuna, let's start with what everyone wants to keep talking about because that's all anyone's been talking about, and it's Matthew Stafford. Back at practice yesterday, there was all after the game, or I guess before the game when it came out that someone in the organization declined to comment and that McVay would address it on Monday. Everyone was like, oh, back surgery. He's done this. Everyone was kind of freaking out. And he's back at practice. So let me just hear your thoughts. What's been your kind of just summation of this whole Stafford saga?
It's been, everyone's super calm about it. Rams fans are not panicking whatsoever. Everyone's been very, even keel about it. I'm very optimistic. You can call me a homer for McVay. I think I've just seen enough the last 10 years, although his McVayisms and his political talk is very non-information giving. Like he says a lot without giving you any info. I took it as, why would you dump that responsibility on Aubrey Pleasant on a game day? Like that's not his topic to really talk about. I was assuming he would just practice kind of. I'm more positive on it than most people. So when they refused to comment on it, I'm like, let's just wait. Let's just give it some time. But yeah, I know some people were freaking out a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, where would you put your freakout meter right now on a scale of 1 to 10? Is there zero reason to freak out or somewhere in the middle?
So mine is like a 1. Wow. And not just
yeah.
And we could talk about this, but it's because how confident I am in the backups. I'm not one to say Jimmy Garoppolo is the same as Matthew Stafford, but from just what I've seen through the summer, the Rams can and would play championship football with Jimmy G at the helm. If he had to start the first month, I see a 3-1 start with Jimmy G. So I'm literally have no panic. Like I think they're in a really good position.
Well, I know Skinny's a huge Jimmy G fan. Go ahead, Skinny. What would your panic be if Jimmy G does have to start? Which I don't think any of us think that's the case, but I mean, where would you be?
I'm up around a 7 if Jimmy G's the starter week 1. I mean, you know, he's not a mystery. We've got plenty of 49ers tape. He was not great with the Raiders, probably even worse with the Raiders. Obviously, the McVay situation, the Rams situation is a lot better than the Raiders. But I have a lot less confidence in him. You know, we were on hand to see what the Saints could shut him down, and because he's not a mystery, teams can exploit those weaknesses. What happens when that pocket gets pretty muddied, and he gets the happy feet? He throws some interceptions. He takes some bad sacks. You know, not this year, but last year, I saw him throw a interception to a defensive lineman right into the breadbasket. He makes some weird decisions in those circumstances. So, my kind of catchphrase for this season is Stafford is the Super Bowl window. So I think if Jimmy Garoppolo is in there, this is not a Super Bowl winning team. Can they make playoffs? Maybe. But the rest of the roster is really fantastic. So I don't like it falling in that area.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly I think it changes things. It changes even how you operate the offense a little bit, which it does with any time you change quarterbacks. It's going to change a little bit. The question will be, which we've talked about it a bunch. So Tuna, I'll get your thoughts on this. You know, we've been saying I don't have any fear Stafford's going to be there week 1. I think he's a tough SOB. I think they're being extremely cautious just to basically navigate to where he gets to game 1. Like I have zero fear. I mean, if it's a meter of if he starts week 1, I'm at a 0 because I think no matter what, he'll be out there. The question is, what's that recovery look like? And so I won't go down that rabbit hole because I talked about it a bunch last episode. But, you know, as of this recording, we are, you know, for some people bright and early, and Rams haven't practiced yet Tuesday since his practice yesterday. So what's that going to look like? Is he a full participant again today? As he's stacking days, when he takes that first hit in week 1 against Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter or whatever, how does that look like? Like, so what do you think based on this whole scenario, Tuna? Like, do you have any fear that, yeah, he'll be out there, but like at what level, what's his recovery look like? Or do you think as long as he makes it through these 2 weeks of camp, the rest of camp, I should say, that kind of indicates that, hey, he's full go, 100%, back issues, no more?
One thing I try to keep in mind is I'm very cognizant that we don't know what the plan was all along. This could have been a plan for the Rams 2 months ago that they're just not telling us. Because if you told fans, hey, you're going to be really worried about Matthew Stafford in a few weeks because we're going to be really wishy-washy about it, it's just not good PR. So we don't know what the plan was all along. He might be a week ahead of schedule, and we would never know until a documentary comes out in a year or two. But I think they're as tough as Matthew Stafford is, I don't think he'd be out there if he was not able to actually be himself, take the hits, make a weird scramble, and throw a touchdown like he did against Minnesota in the wild card game. Unless he can do those things, I don't see him being out there. And I think that's why McVay has spoken so high on Jimmy G, because he was able just to step in despite his recovery and be at the same point where the offense is. The offense has progressed as it needs to throughout the offseason because of Jimmy G, because of Stetson Bennett. And I think that has helped Matthew Stafford take his time in coming back. If he's out there week 1, I think he's out there week 18, week 20. I don't see any reason why he'd be playing hurt, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he did play hurt last year, right? At the end of the season, Skinny.
Yeah. I mean, he had a rib injury last year that really affected his play, and you know, for what it's worth, 26 passes he threw today, or 26 plays, I think it was. I don't know if they were all passing plays yesterday, for about an hour. Obviously, he's not getting hit. He's not facing real pressure in those circumstances. So, you know, those kind of details are what really shake my confidence in terms of his overall health, how much pain he's in, really declining on talking about, how much pain the guy is in, taking an epidural shot. We do know that's happened. Sitting in a Airstream with red light therapy. I think that's just a bad look. But this is we're far from having him had any real game experience of testing out that back, and just the whole thing is a mystery. It seemed like he was a full go in the spring practices. sometime in between, did he slip in the shower like Freddie Freeman? I don't know. How did he hurt this back? Has it been an issue in different times? There's just so much mystery around it. And like you're saying, Tuna, like McVay is not, he's not going to give us any details that he doesn't want to give us. So I think that, I think they should have come out early on and said, hey, listen, this is going to be touch and go. We're not really sure where this is. But McVay is going to handle this like McVay handles it. So, I can't talk him into anything different.
Yeah. Well, and Tuna, I think where we haven't talked about this, but I think where we were, because we're kind of in the middle. I think there's the people that are like, nope, zero concern, trust McVay. Then there's the doom and gloom, like season's over, forget about it. And we're kind of in the middle, like this is still a good football team. Stafford's going to play, but there's definitely more to this story than just nothing. And I think where we found it was the fact that, hey, training camp opens, he's going to miss 5 practices. 5 practices, he'll be back. Okay, then it's week to week. Then he's still on track for the first game. Then it's, okay, he had a workout, he's going to practice Monday. Then it's, nope, we're not going to talk about it. He's still recovering. And then it's, McVay will talk about it on Monday. I'm not going to talk about it. And then it's, he practiced, but Stafford's still not available to talk to the media. This is your face of your franchise, has yet to even say a word to the media here. And granted, if he's hurt, they usually don't put guys that are hurt in front of the podium. But now after practicing yesterday, that was a very easy opportunity to get him out there and be like, okay, here's what's been going on. I'm back. I mean, when is he going to talk to the media, do you think? Tuna, do you think there's a chance that we don't see Stafford till week 1?
You think Stafford's pulling a year 17 on us? He's just too cool for the media. He's like, nah, I've done this enough, because he barely likes doing media as it is.
Yeah.
God.
He was very prickly when his elbow issue, and he would face the media. He did not really enjoy answering the questions about the pain that he was in, how he was feeling, how his mechanics were. So yeah, I'll throw it back to you, Tuna.
But I think that comes more from his OG mindset. Like, he's the last of a dying breed of gunslingers. Like him, Aaron Rodgers, kind of Kirk Cousins, just based on age. Like those guys, it's all about toughness. You don't want to complain. I think that's really what it comes out to. He just doesn't want to seem like he's complaining about an injury when he's got teammates that are playing hurt too, probably.
Yep.
I think he will come out probably just during game week, the standard pressers that they have to do. But I will agree with you that the only thing that concerns me, I think, is the PR level. Like, can you guys get better at coming out ahead of this? Like, even if you say, hey, there's something weird going on, because what if it was precautionary? What if it was like, hey, got something going on with my back, even at the signing of the new contract, I'm going to have to go through a procedure. I'm going to have to go through epidural. Maybe they knew all along, and it was gonna be a weird timeline for when he gets feeling back in certain parts, but like, address that. Like, just make your constituents feel better about it.
Yeah.
I do think they've been fairly honest about how the progress is going, and I think that's why it has changed pretty readily.
Know.
That's fair. That's fair.
So. Can we move on to the other quarterbacks?
Yes, please. Yeah.
All right. So tell me, you were out there at training camp and you watched Jimmy Garoppolo. You walked away with a lot of confidence in the guy.
Yeah.
Does this go back to maybe week 18 last year, or what you saw in training camp, or is it just that handsome smile?
It was the handsome smile. His agent reached out to me and said, we'll give you part of that jeans deal ad that he just did if you do good propaganda.
Is he doing the American Eagle, Sydney Sweeney? Has he got good jeans?
It was even more bizarre than that. It was have you seen it yet?
No, I've not.
Please find it. It is very odd. It involves an attempted break-in and him seducing the robber into walking away. Exactly. Do
you know what Gene brand it is?
I don't know. I was so lost in his eyes.
Yeah.
But
jeans now. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's a culmination of everything. And I went back and looked at his time in San Francisco, kind of refreshing on how each year went. It's the non-injury years, because that was a big knock on him. He'll get injured and he'll miss a lot of time. So he almost is suited better as a backup. The years where he played his best, the joke is he's a game manager, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I've never thought that's bad for any quarterback. He's got an elite potential defense. It looks like it's going to be a very strong run game with a very capable stable of 3 different running backs that he can pick from. A lot of tight ends, which McVay is going to probably use a lot of 12 personnel. You look at his best years in San Francisco where he was 1 pass away from beating the Chiefs in their first Super Bowl. I think there's potential for him to replicate that same thing. And now when I look at Vegas, I'm putting that on Josh McDaniels. The only thing positive I'm taking out of that is what we're seeing in training camp is his connection with Davante Adams is incredibly strong. He can find Davante Adams in a dark room at this point and complete a pass. That's what it looked like in a lot of days. But I wasn't there at the Saints joint practice. I know you were, Skinny T. You'll have to enlighten me a little bit more on what you saw, because that of course the one day where he looks his worst is the day I missed.
Yeah, I chronicled it a bit in an article. So that's, you can go find that for the specifics on it. But that's a Brandon Staley defense, and he's faced him exactly once, and he didn't have a terrible game against Staley, but he also didn't throw any touchdown passes in that game when it was 49ers a couple years ago too. So, and also not under a lot of pressure in that game, which was interesting. So the Saints practice was an interesting confluence of 2 things that can just throw off Jimmy Garoppolo, which is these complex coverage schemes, the deeper shells. He's not going to throw the ball down the field with a lot of accuracy. So you've got that covered. So you just got to cover kind of that middle part of the field. And we saw one of those soul crushing interceptions that just should not have happened. And he was under a lot of pressure, making bad decisions, taking a bunch of sacks. He was kind of outdueled in that. And, the Saints aren't a complete team. They're not a Super Bowl contender. They're definitely in the rebuilding. They're probably going to be drafting a quarterback, maybe Arch Manning, to complete that circle. So it didn't inspire a lot of confidence. And it just kind of reminded me of those 49ers games that just, he just could not operate because either the coverage was too complex or the pressure was getting to him. And not every team is going to be able to do that to him. But I think that would, going back to my catchphrase, Stafford being the Super Bowl window, my expectation for this team is to this year is to make a playoff run and then draft a quarterback next year for the future, regardless of what Stafford's decision is. And so that's why I place such a high standard on who the backup is and what they can do and who they can be, because there's a chance that they get to the dance if Stafford is in there healthy. And Garoppolo, I just don't think he can get him there. Case in point, the Super Bowl, where he could have, he hits, who was that Broncos receiver that was a 49er that year? That
Emmanuel Sanders. That play goes a different way. That's a different Super Bowl outcome. I mean, is it on Sanders? Is that on Garoppolo? It's on Garoppolo.
Sanders is a historically slow receiver. We all know that. Come on now.
Has there been? Here's a wild card question for you guys. Has there been? I'm sure there has. I'm just trying to think if I've had like a starting caliber quarterback. I'm not just saying some like journeyman, like an actual like what was sought as a franchise quarterback that went to a Super Bowl, lost, was seen as the reason, and then went to a new team and won the Super Bowl, like a la Jared Goff if he wins with Detroit. Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously. Like I'm trying to think if there's been one of those guys that just couldn't do it with one team and then went somewhere else and did it. Can you think of anything off the top of your head?
I mean, not Peyton Manning. I mean, Peyton Manning did it, but he wasn't the reason he lost the second one in Indy. That's the only one that comes to mind, but he's obviously a completely different caliber of quarterback.
Yeah. And
well, it's rare even like a name that comes to mind is Ryan Tannehill. Obviously didn't win any Super Bowls with anybody, but like kind of like was a mediocre seeming quarterback and then looked a lot better when he went to the Titans. I mean, that's probably the closest example I could think of, but I mean,
yeah, not a lot of guys have had the opportunity to bounce back and then go to like another incredibly competent team like Jimmy is now on the Rams after leaving, competent years in San Francisco.
How much? I asked that only because I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Skinny. Like, I feel like I've seen enough, but I've also seen enough times of, again, these are not Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, but I've seen the Geno Smith stories. I've seen the Sam Darnold stories of like looking like dilapidated bad quarterbacks being in the right situation. And all of a sudden, like, hey, is this guy an actual like good quarterback? He just didn't have the right pieces around him. And we're putting the cart in front of the horse. Hopefully we don't even have to have this conversation because Stafford plays all year and we're good to go. But I'm just curious if there is a world where Jimmy G is a competent potential Super Bowl winning quarterback with McVay, with the Rams. I think the biggest difference in this situation versus those other quarterbacks is Sam Darnold's Jets were a horrible organization, horrible all around him. Geno Smith also was with the Jets and other teams, never had a good situation. Like Jimmy G was with Kyle Shanahan and like the number one defense for like a decade with the Niners, had a lot of weapons. Like he was, I think McVay personally, we've had this conversation, is a better coach than Shanahan, but it's not like he's a scrub up there in San Francisco. Like he was in a very good situation and went to the dance twice and couldn't get it done. Or no, once. Brock Purdy was the second one. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Goff is probably your best closest example to that. And it's funny because, Garoppolo really kind of wore it as welcome, and Shanahan was very obviously not happy with him towards the end. Same thing happened with Goff in here in LA. So similar DNA there.
Yeah, because you get to that point, right? Like where guys are better in different situations, but how far can they take you? Like another example, Alex Smith, like went from the Niners.
Yeah, there you go.
Went to the Chiefs, was great in the Chiefs, and the Chiefs still said he's not going to get it done. We got to go draft Patrick Mahomes. Like, yeah, Alex Smith has brought us to the playoffs now, 2 years in a row, but we're still going to move up in the draft to go get Patty Mahomes, and then we're going to become a dynasty. So just wonder if guys are they're if they've shown you enough of who they are, that's who they are. They can just, be a little better.
I'll say this though, like probably the most competent backup quarterback that McVay has had. And I think McVay has moved into this new era that he's pretty much done like doing the hand holding, kind of like experimenting. He's like, we need like competent play back there.
I mean,
it's somewhat of a sliding scale too, whether you have a healthy GBG that has to start, or what if there's a 50% Matthew Stafford, because what if his back flares up in, the second round of the playoffs. And it always makes me go back to the Peyton Manning final year in Denver, where he limped into that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like it was the defense and the run game that carried them. Very similar dynamic here in Los Angeles, where, I mean, this team alone is going to win a lot of games. The special teams can win games. Like I saw Ethan Evans hit an 81-yard punt. Like that field flipping is going to help win games outside of just the offense. And my last point on Jimmy G, I mean, it's easy to be accurate if Davante Adams is wide open all day long. That's a huge factor for me too.
That helps.
Yeah.
That definitely helps any quarterback.
Let's put a bow on the Jimmy Garoppolo story for now and say over under how many games is he going to play for the Rams? And I'll put it at half a game. Is that
so? Will he play one game?
Will he play one game or more, or not play it? Well, no. Should I got to spice that up. Should I
spice it up a little more because he's going to play week 18.
Two.
The Rams have a good season.
Or should I set it at 3? Over under 3 or 2? What do you think?
I think 3 is a good number.
It's your bet. Whatever you want.
2.5. I'll set it at 2.5. There we go. Perfect. Compromised. Over under 2.5.
I'm gonna say over. I say 3 games.
Ooh.
Because I like that. I like the week 18. I think we see him again. I think the Rams wrap up the West like week 16 or 17. I think they have a very strong year. Like I do feel that confidently in them as a team. But then mix in, like we've seen it in past years, even with the healthy Stafford, you get the was it the finger or the wrist he had where he had to miss the game against the Packers, or his back flares up. Like you're gonna need a spot for Jimmy G to play. I think it's over. I think we see him like 3 times this year.
Yeah, that's tough. The one that week 18, I think, is a gimme as long as the season goes as we all expect it to. The big one that I'm looking at that whereas like will Stafford be healthy enough to be his self is that I can't remember. I don't know if it's week 7, week 6. I can't add it all up right now. But when they play the Niners on a short week on a Thursday night, and they had previously just played at Philly and then at home against the Colts. And the Colts, I'm not saying are a great team, but the Colts have a pretty staunch defensive line. Anyone that's followed the Colts and their defense. So back-to-back weeks, Eagles, Colts, and then a short week against the Niners, like that's one where it's like, is he going to be fully ready based on this offseason? We're not trying to project anything, but so even if that's not ready, that's still only 2 games. So I guess I'll take the under, I guess. I'm being overconfident, Skinny. I'm all of a sudden all positive now.
I'm going to take the under too, just because, you gotta take a side. And I'm going to take the optimistic side on this one.
Wow, look at us. Tuna with going over. That's
how did we? Do we all just gaslight ourselves into flipping perspectives?
Yeah, I think so. All right, last QB question. Let's move on. Steady B has played every quarter so far in the preseason. Skinny T had a great conversation with someone who thinks Stetson Bennett's the next Joe Montana based on some preseason games. Steve Young. Thank you. Sorry, Steve Young. Other great Niners quarterback. So, Tuna, what's been your summation of Stetson Bennett? I mean, we both think he's definitely improved, which is great, but has 2 preseason games shown you enough to where this guy is the backup of the future, or is he shown you enough that he's the future?
He toes that line. It is very hard to say otherwise. Like, you look at the tape, even the bad plays, the bad passes, it's like, yeah, he's pressing. He is a gunslinger. Like, he was that way at Georgia. He's learning under Matthew Stafford, who probably pushes in that quarterback room to take risks, especially in a preseason game when you have less acumen with other guys, like undrafted free agent rookies he only played with for like 6 weeks in the offseason. It's hard to say like he can't at least be a quarterback 2 in the league for a long time, at the very least. Whether he can be a starter long term and win games, why not? Screw it. Why not? I'm optimistic. Yes, I think he could be the starter of the future, even if they don't draft Arch Manning like some people want next year or the year after. Why not Stetson Bennett? Why not give Steady B a chance?
So you're Tuna. You're sitting here on the most influential Rams podcast saying Stetson Bennett is the future after Matthew Stafford of Los Angeles Rams. Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to aggravate that later today.
Man, I did not wake up this morning thinking I was going to spit that much Steady B propaganda, but you got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, the guy's played national championship football at the highest level at SEC, got it done. He is a dog. He's got a little bit of that Baker Mayfield in him, which I love out of quarterbacks. Like, that dude is a dog. So if we had to wake up 2027 and Stetson Bennett starting week 1, I would feel good about it.
Okay. So 2027. So you think Stafford still got one more year after this? Or are you saying they go like journeyman? So I'm putting all the crystal balls on you right now. Like, you're
Hey, 12, we've already seen a time travel portal machine get put outside of the Rams facility for Stafford to get fixed in last week. Maybe he's got a bionic back by the next year. We don't know. Medicine is improving at a steady pace.
Doc Brown and the DeLorean are coming next, right next to the Airstream.
I'm sorry, that immortal machine. I could not stop laughing when I saw it.
It's great. Go ahead, Skinny.
The weird futuristic kind of idea of it all. Immortal was just kind of like a combination of immoral and immortal. Like, it freaks me out.
Yeah,
I don't want to step a foot in there, that Satan chamber.
Yeah.
But you said
I thought they were pumping like stadium noise in there. I was like, what are they doing? I'm sorry.
Really?
It looks like something that would pump stadium noise with all the red light therapy. It's just confusing to me. Sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know. You said steady pace. I like that kind of that might be a t-shirt for us. We're on a steady pace. Steady B, steady. Anyway, there's a steady B hive out there, and they came after me a little bit after my idea that they should trade Stetson Bennett maybe this year, because his draft stock is probably, or his trade stock is probably at an all-time high, I would say right now. And he's just in a weird timing right now, because he's going to be on his last year of his contract next year. I imagine they've got 2 draft picks next year. How can you not draft a quarterback in this quarterback class of 2026? It's a weird timing thing, I think, that he's kind of stuck in between. And he's played well in 2 preseason games. That is what it is, period, hands down. So I mean, I'm not ready to crown him Are they ready to get rid of him? I don't know. But if you're rooting for Stetson Bennett, I don't know why you wouldn't root for him to land in a better situation where he could actually have a chance at a starting position or a backup position. Because right now, the depth chart is solidly Stafford than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
And if Stetson Bennett is on the field for a regular season game, a lot has gone wrong for the Rams, and I'm not rooting for that.
Yeah. Well, I think the excitement, I mean, it's clear that his development has improved over last year to this year. I think that's very clear, which, you'd hope it would. I think where a lot of the maybe too high expectations of some came was, that first drive was against the Chargers starting defense. So I think a lot of people put a lot of stock in that, which he looked great. Give him his credit. Now, defenses historically are known to kind of take that first drive to really kind of almost be on their heels, and then they improve as the game goes on and really clinch down. I mean, some of the best defenses out there seemingly give up points on the first drive every week, and then all of a sudden don't give up anything after that. So not that would have been the case. Maybe that's just the tinfoil hat or whatever argument, but I do like what I've seen. I definitely like the improvement. Am I ready to say he's the future? I'm not ready there yet. What would be interesting, guys, and then promise audience, we're moving past, and we're already at 30 minutes, but we're moving past the quarterbacks. If this Rams team plays how they're supposed to, if Stafford stays healthy and we get that week 18 where they're going to bench starters, it'd be interesting if they play Stetson Bennett instead of Jimmy Garoppolo and say, this is kind of your audition for being the guy next year, at least the backup, not the third string. Because, like we all said, we kind of know what Jimmy G is. Now it'd be maybe a little disrespectful to him to be like, yeah, you're the backup and you're still not going to play. But it'd be interesting to give Stetson Bennett that kind of audition in a real regular season game, even if he is kind of still in a preseason situation playing with backups. But unless you guys have anything else to say, should we move on?
No, let's move on.
Good.
All right, let's talk. We'll go kind of quickly through 2 different points. So let's do I want to talk offensive line real quick. Tuna, with you, get your take on this. So obviously we all know the Alaric Jackson situation, blood clots, praying for the best for him. Health is most important. What is your level of, because it kind of coincides with Matthew Stafford, obviously blocking his blind side to that tough back. What's your confidence in a DJ Humphries, David Questenberry combination, whatever, Alaric Jackson eventually coming back? So what's your confidence in the left side of that line?
I'm more concerned about the line play than I am the quarterback play. That is where I do have some caution there. Anytime you're dropping off from your starting left tackle, your cornerstone, who you've extended, who you said, hey, this is our guy for the next few years, the drop-off is significant. And it's not a blight on the other guys, but I'm praising Alaric Jackson that much. I think he's very underrated in the league. Stafford trusts him, McVay trusts him. So obviously he's got to be very good if they're trusting him. I'm not saying – there's other players that we question why they trust him, but Alaric Jackson, very, very good. I think until Jackson comes back, we may see some iteration of a lot more 12 personnel, a little bit heavier on the run game, maybe not as opened up as they want to be passing wise, depending on how that whoever is going to start at left tackle plays instead of Alaric Jackson. I think run game is going to be just fine because you can hide a lot more things that way and keep Stafford safe, but I am a little bit more concerned there. I didn't get a good accounting for who was progressing most during training camp as much as Skinny T probably did.
Yeah, I think DJ Humphries is probably the locked in backup / starter at that position. Questenberry got some work there. McClendon also got some good work there as well. He moves around both left and right sides for that. But I got to say, like coming out of the second preseason game, that the offensive line depth, the step that they've taken has been incredible. To touch on Alaric Jackson as well, latest news on his injury, still not working in full contact with the first team, working through, non-contact basically is still where he is. So McVay kind of gave like a positive, encouraging update, but still stuck on it, still kind of not working in the contact, which is anyway. But yeah, that Stetson Bennett had really clean pockets, only a couple of pressures allowed in that last game. So, Willie Lampkin went out with a left knee injury in that game, but a lot of those guys really stepped up, and, Dylan McMahon and Bo Limmer, Justin Dedich, a lot of quality line play And big shout out to offensive line coach, whose name I'm just
Brian
blanking.
Wendell, baby.
Brian Wendell.
Yeah.
Another guy to keep on an eye for where his next move is going to be. So, that the offensive line depth wasn't always a strength for his team, and I think pointing to him is kind of the lead driver for developing those guys. Pretty amazing.
And the fact that there are a lot of late round undrafted players and to see how they play. To me, Justin Dedich is a lock to make this roster. I think his versatility, I mean, he's played center and guard in the preseason. So I think just that versatility alone is a guy you keep. But yeah, we'll obviously keep a close eye on this left tackle position. I think DJ Humphries was a great pickup. Obviously, his history with the Cardinals and starting. I know he was with the Chiefs last year, but only suited up in 2 games due to injury. But I mean, anytime you're putting stock in your new starter who is still in street clothes in July is never a place you want to be, but he obviously has the pedigree and he's done that. So at least they were able to find someone like that available. Tuna, let me ask you this, and we'll kind of wrap up more with this. Would you look at this rookie class? Who are you most excited about? Obviously, T. Ferg. Finally, I think Ferguson practiced on Monday as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he was a little bit back after being banged up. But you look at the likes of Josiah Seward, all these different players. But who of this rookie class are you just psyched to kind of watch this year, and you think will have the biggest impact?
Konate Mumfield, right away. That's my answer. Going into training camp, it was Jarquez Hunter. Just watching his running at Auburn was, you're seeing it in preseason. He takes 2-yard runs and turn them into 8. Like, he's fast as hell, but he just will not go down. But after seeing what Konate, his improvements from OTAs through camp, seeing it translate on the field. And then I did speak with Eric Yarber during training camp, and he would not stop smiling about him. First thing he mentioned was his IQ, how no one is realizing how smart he is. Mm-hmm. And I think that's showing on how he's improved in his route running. Like, he attacks angles. He's learning from Davante Adams. I think the Rams do have the best overall wide receiver room from front to back. Like, I know people argue about who's the best duo because of Puka and Adams. You look at wide receivers 4 through 6, you got Jordan Whittington and Xavier Smith, and now Konate. Konate is your wide receiver 6. That's a lot to be excited about. If there's injuries, I feel really good about seeing him in action, get some first downs, and help the passing game still be competent if there's injuries.
Yeah. All right. I do have one more question. Skinny, do you have one first, though?
No, go for it.
All right. We've talked a lot about linebackers and, how this organization just doesn't really value linebackers. But when you look at the room, I think it's pretty clear. Omar Spates, Nate Landman, the 2 starters. They drafted Chris Paul out of Ole Miss. Sean Dolak is getting a lot of love as an undrafted free agent. Plus, they brought back Troy Reeder. When you look at this roster, everyone's starting to do their 53-man roster predictions. We've done a couple at LAFB. I mean, it's still hard to see a world where they keep more than 3 inside linebackers just based on the position, just based on, you mentioned wanting 6 receivers. Do they keep 4 tight ends? Because we know Davis Allen still has a role, but obviously they drafted Terrence Ferguson. So it's just making the numbers work. And maybe we'll do a full roster breakdown. Maybe we will invite you back, Tuna, if you're free. It's hard to envision them keeping more than 3 inside linebackers. Is that how you see it? And if so, if there's only 3, who's the 3 they keep?
Damn.
That's high level question there, baby.
It's got to be 4.
That was good. That's multi-layered too. I think it has to be 4, not even just for the defensive side, but for special teams. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to have like a Sean Dolick. Like, you can't not have Sean Dolick on special teams. I think that's too critical to improve that unit. But if there has to be 3, I think it'd have to be Paul, just based on draft stock, unless they're ready to just take a wild swing and say, hey, from what we've seen, from how they liked for who wore the green dot better in week 1 versus week 2, maybe it is Sean Dolick. I know they're not afraid to roll with undrafted free agents or deep draft gems. Damn, now I'm questioning my own thing. I want to say be safe and say it has to be 4. I don't see any way how it can only be 3.
So no Troy Reeder, right? Reeder's gone.
I said mean things about Christian Roseboom last year, so I'm not going to make that mistake this year with Troy Reeder. That's the Super Bowl champion you're talking about. I think Sean Dolick is showing on the field physically what they think Troy Reeder brings. Troy Reeder is just probably a locker room presence and leadership guy, but yeah, give me those rookies, man. I want that spark plug if you need depth.
Yeah, Skinny, your thoughts?
I think it's 4. I think Dolak is a P squad guy this year. I think he makes the practice squad. Was he the guy you were saying last week that was he kind of handpicked the Rams as the team he wanted to go to? Was that Dolak you were saying, Ryan?
Yes. Yeah. Because of the coaching and development. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully he clears waivers and is back. But I think it's Reeder, it's Landman, it's Paul and Spates. Yeah.
So you think Reeder's? I mean, if he hasn't played at all, so that kind of indicates the way the Rams operate that he's a lock. But could they make a decision like, man, how do we let these young guys go? I don't know. It's kind of hard. I mean, they're not keeping 5. If they keep 5, that would be bad roster management, in my opinion. A position they don't value, all of a sudden having 5 of them.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, an interesting one, an interesting battle I'm looking at is on the defensive line ahead of them, Laurel Murchison and the rookie Ty Hamilton.
Yeah.
Is that, are they just going to opt for Hamilton just because he's a rookie over the more experienced 5th rounder, Laurel Murchison? I mean, there's going to be a lot of these close decisions. Like to your point, Tuna, Sean McVay talked about the last 4 to 6 positions really just coming down to special teams and what you can offer there. So I think that's spot on.
Do either of you guys know off the top of your head when cut down day is?
They do one day. I don't know the official day, but the Rams do all one fell swoop the day after the last preseason game.
Okay, so it's right after the last. Okay, so we have still 2 weeks basically until. Remember, it wasn't that long ago. Remember when they did in waves? It wasn't the Rams. It was an NFL rule. You did from 90 to 70, from 70 to 65, and then final cut down. It was a 3-player wave, and now it's just you're cutting 43 guys tomorrow. Good luck.
What a brutal day. That's not fun.
I couldn't do it as a coach. I couldn't do it. I couldn't look those guys and just work their tails off. It'd be tough, but we'll see. Well, we'll definitely, so we got 2 weeks. We'll do a full on kind of roster prediction show, and Tuna, if you want, you're absolutely welcome. We'll be in touch and let you know, but thank you so much for joining us. Great to meet you officially. I hope we do a lot more of these collaborations and however we can help you and promote you, but let everyone know where they can find all your stuff at.
Absolutely. No, it is an honor to be here. This is fun. Like I said, and I truly mean it. Watching actual professionals talk football and challenge my perceptions on Jimmy G is always a fun time. But yeah, First and Tuna podcast on YouTube, the Substack as well. You can find us First and Tuna. It's always fun to write. Just on Instagram, we're just hanging out and doing fun stuff around LA. So yeah, catch us there.
Love it. Well, the man, Tuna, thanks so much. Skinny T, as always, I'm Ryan Dyrud. Thank you, Ramley, for hanging out with us. We'll be back very soon with plenty more Rams talk here on the Rams Skinny.